everyone, Jimmy Snow here. Please enjoy this clip from my channel, The Line, where we do call-in debate shows, something like 5 days a week with more coming this summer. I'll be back after the clip is over to tell you a little bit more. All right, we're going to talk to Ake in the Midwest. Ake, I hope that I'm saying your name correctly. You are on the line with Jimmy and Eric. How you doing, Ake? Ake, there you go.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just told the guy H.
Oh, H like the letter H?
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right, I'll fix it for you here. Okay, I got you. All right.
No problem.
H in the Midwest, then. That makes more sense. All right, H in the Midwest, you're on the line with Jimmy and Eric. What can you tell us?
I'm not totally familiar with the show. I have a family member that I guess, follows you guys, and he told me to jump on.
Cool.
You guys just kind of want me to kind of state why I believe, I guess.
Yeah, you could do that. I mean, since you said you're not very familiar, I'll give you just the 30-second rundown. We do a call-in show, actually several call-in shows a week. This is one of them. And on this show specifically, we're very interested in why people have religious and theistic beliefs. We are ourselves atheists and skeptics, and so beyond whether or not your belief is warranted for you, we certainly also want to know if you have any beliefs that you feel would warrant that other people should believe. So,
okay.
Yeah, I would, if that helps frame what you're going to say to us, then that is,
yeah,
that's what I'll give you.
Yeah, so I guess where I kind of explained earlier to, I guess, your screener on, so I was raised Mormon, and for me, when I was younger, I had an experience where I saw God and Jesus, kind of the Mormon way, to different people.
Yep,
and,
I was raised Mormon too. I'm on the same page with you.
Okay, and it was, it was like a light that came from far, just like in the distance, and expanded, and it was in the middle of the night. I woke up to this light, and I ended up seeing them. So that experience kind of spurred me on. I think where it kind of spurred me to not doubt as much. Now I say as much because
when you're ready, I have a couple questions for you.
Same with me.
Well, why don't you shoot?
Yeah. So H, you talk about you had this experience where you saw Mormon Jesus, or the way they present. I guess my first question is: are you still an active member of? You said raised Mormon. Are you still a Mormon?
Yeah. So that experience, the long answers. That experience spurred me to kind of seek those type of experiences. And it's kind of a funny thing in the church, right? We talked about those experiences, but like when people start to have those experiences in the church, they're kind of met with a lot of skepticism.
Yes, that's indeed true. Yeah.
It could be something.
Unless, because it's sort of understood that if anybody is directly seeing God and Jesus Christ, then it's going to just be an apostle or a prophet. And so I think the most you would get within the church is people saying you probably had a spiritual experience that is testifying to you of the reality of Jesus and God, but that you probably didn't actually see Jesus and God, but that it was some sort of dream that was a blessing from Jesus and God. I imagine you were met with some sort of thing like that. Does that sound pretty on par?
Yeah, different, to different degrees. Some people believe, some people don't. But the general consensus is like, okay, whatever.
Okay.
Could be something sent from God, could be something of the devil. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's of the devil stuff is a little bit rarer, and usually in some of the older populations of the demons are out there running around doing stuff. I'm curious. So you are still an active member, or you have become something else?
So I think I kind of met some people growing up. He was into Oriental medicine. He practiced it himself. and he was also Mormon, and he had his own experiences, and so he kind of had a heavy influence on me for. He taught me like meditation and taught me to, if you want these things, anyone can have them, but you can cultivate these things.
Yeah. So H, I'm going to give you a little bit of a note here just to try and make the conversation as efficient as possible. For sure, there may be time to share some of those, but as best we can, let's just try and keep basically ask a question and just like a short prompt answer. So, because I still don't really know what your answer to the question was. So are you right now, do you belong specifically to, would you consider yourself an active member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints?
No, I
Okay.
found it, no, the answer no.
And so now you believe in some sort of alternative version, still with a Mormon core to it, or no?
I think it's funny. I have studied a lot.
Just yes or no on this one, H. If we can, just yes or no. I like I said, I'm going to go through a stream of questions here, and we'll probably get to what you're meaning here. Yes.
So I think there's probably that probably still has a heavy influence.
Okay.
Belief
do you believe Joseph Smith was a prophet who communicated with God, tried to restore the correct religion? Do you believe the story, basically Joseph Smith's first vision?
I do believe his first vision,
okay,
to a certain degree.
Okay.
Can I elaborate?
We'll get there. We'll get there in a minute. I just want to make sure I have a summary here. Okay. So it sounds like what you're saying is there's a lot to core Mormonism that you believe, and it sounds like Jesus Christ and God as two separate individuals with physical manifestations. You still believe in those, but now you believe in a sort of hybrid with some sorts of Western spirituality where you believe, like through meditation and stuff, you are accessing some sort of spiritual realm, presumably to replicate the same type of experience you had when you had your dream, or when you not had your dream, when you woke up and saw at night, you woke up and saw God and Jesus. Is that a correct summary of what you're telling me?
And I would say I'm probably fall more like Gnostic.
Gnostic or agnostic?
Gnostic, like Gnosticism.
So you're saying you know God exists, you know Jesus exists.
I'm saying, well, I'm saying based off of my experiences that is heavily, push that. But what I'm also saying is the Gnostic, those Gnostic traditions, is more probably where I exist.
Gnostic traditions of what? Because if somebody says that they are a Gnostic theist, I usually think that they are trying to communicate to me that they know God exists. Is there a different Gnostic tradition you're trying to point to? Or are you talking about some sort of thing? Go ahead.
So what I'm talking about, have you ever heard of Elaine Pagels? She's a professor who studied the Gnostic Gospels, like the Gospel of Thomas or the Gospel of Mary or something like that. There are other writings that a lot of Christians cherry pick them and say, hey,
right,
okay, these make the Bible.
I get it. So you're not actually using the term Gnostic broadly. You're talking about a specific group of people. And yes, I've heard of Elaine Pagels. And there's overlap with her and things from the Da Vinci Code and all that kind of stuff. But you're talking about a specific, I get it. You're not using the term broadly. You're talking about a specific group, and that there's basically secrets and there's secret books and secret traditions and all this. Okay, great. So I think we've established who you are. Go ahead.
I just want to, I know that that's been the image that, there's these secret books, secret traditions. And that's that I think that's probably a little bit more of a previous look by scholars on this, but I think from the consensus of some of the lectures I've heard and some of the scholars I've followed, we're finding out these Gnostic traditions actually had more of an impact, anciently than we've given them credit to.
Sure, but that doesn't in any way debunk that there are 4 Gnostic Gospels, and 2 of them include the word secret gospel or secret book or something like that of so-and-so, that these are non-traditional to me. Anyway, none of that stuff is important to me. We've established who you are. We've established what it is that you believe. And so are you here to defend that you think you have a good reason to believe and it is purely experiences, or do you have a way you could defend that your belief in God is one other people should adopt and that you have good reasons for that as well?
I believe my experiences have helped me believe, and I believe that, just like, the practice of yoga, people have to learn how to practice using certain techniques, and they can have these type of experiences.
Okay. But H, do you have a reason, as far as you and I having a discussion right now, do you have reasons for me other than to say, if you would just start practicing, you would believe it too? Do you have actually good reasoned arguments for why a God, the Christian God, the Gnostic Gospels, any of those things are true?
Yeah, I do believe that.
You believe you have well-reasoned arguments?
We'll see.
Okay, go ahead and give us one of the well-reasoned arguments.
Well, I think, based off of experiences.
No.
First of all,
not your experience. Well-reasoned arguments for us, because H, you would agree that if I've not had your experiences, I shouldn't find your experiences compelling, right? I don't know you from anyone. You could be a liar. You could be wrong. I have no reason to believe that you weren't dreaming, that you weren't delusional. As far as any experience that you've talked about, and then other spiritual experiences, I have no reason to believe that what you are attributing those spiritual experiences while doing yoga, while doing meditation, are actually supernatural, especially when today in the present physical, natural world, we have pretty good explanations for why people achieve those states, what is actually going on within your parasympathetic system when you are feeling certain ways. So on my end, as far as you just saying, I have spiritual experiences and those spiritual experiences are affirming to the truth, I don't have a reason to believe any of those. And not only that, I've been doing this show for now 6 years. People on this network have been doing them for like 100 years. There's no reason. Sorry, not there's no reason. We have heard calls like this many times across a broad spectrum of religions. I've talked to Hindus who believe for the exact same reasons you've said. I've talked to, obviously, Mormons. Mormonism will do that too. If you just believe, God will testify. And we've got these verses. And if you're deep in prayer, and if you fast, and if you do these things that we know have physiological effects, and we convince you to attribute the way you feel to a spiritual experience, you'll believe just like the rest of us. So that's where I am. So forget any personal experience you have, because one, I don't think your personal experiences are good enough for anyone but you. And two, I don't actually think they're good enough for you. So far, what you presented, I, as a skeptic having the exact same experiences as you, would not suddenly start believing in God. Give us the well-reasoned arguments that Eric and I, who have not had your experiences and do not just meet feelings with, that must be affirmation from God. Give us well-reasoned arguments that we should believe.
Yeah. Hey, H.
Okay.
H. I'll summarize everything Jimmy just said, and I'll maybe pose this question to you slightly different so that it might help. So I'm going to summarize everything Jimmy just said. Jimmy and I don't see how it logically follows that a God exists based off of some personal experience. We don't see how that logically follows. So just do us a favor and just fill in the blank for us. I had a personal experience about a God. Therefore, this God exists because blank. Can you fill in that blank for us?
I think because there's plenty of other people who have had experiences that are documented. I think
okay,
because for instance, do you believe in, let's even go medically, like, have you heard of spontaneous remission?
I've heard of spontaneous remission, near-death experiences, out-of-body experiences. I've heard of all of those.
Wait.
So
But spontaneous, he's not talking about a spiritual thing. You're talking about spontaneous remission as though spontaneous remission means supernatural or magical remission. And in fact, hold on. Spontaneous remission refers to when a person heals but wasn't expected to heal. And there are explanations for it. They aren't actual head scratchers. Yeah. It is usually the person's own immune system suddenly begins working correctly, or some treatment suddenly takes hold. Spontaneous remission is not a magical thing. It is a totally natural thing.
Okay. So, right. And I agree with you. But, again, what you're trying to delineate is just because something manifests on this level, materialistic, does not mean that there is not some type of hidden force behind it, correct?
Fine. That's fine, H. Now, if you're going to claim that there is, I'm not claiming that there is. By the way, I don't know if we're on speakerphone or whatever, but I keep hearing my little echoed voice in the background and I hate it. So if you can fix that, please do. I am not claiming that there is none. I am claiming there is no good reason to believe there is. You seem to be claiming that there was something supernatural happening. So when spontaneous remission or whatever else happened, that there was some spiritual source. And I am only saying I will not believe that until you give me a good reason to believe that. So do you have an example of a good reason to believe that?
Yes.
Go ahead, share it.
Okay. So, and I can't speak for every case of spontaneous remission, but, all of a sudden, let's just go from this angle first. All of a sudden, someone is told, hey, we have 3 months to live, right?
Are you making the story up, or are you talking about a real story?
I'm giving, these are real documented stories, but this is a theoretical story, okay?
Okay, so the answer was you're making this one up, so go ahead. And by the way, it's a hypothetical story, not a theoretical. Go ahead with your hypothetical.
There are many documented, stories, but I'm just going to...
Go ahead.
So they have 3 months to live, and all of a sudden, they meet a lover.
Okay?
And all of a sudden, a month later, 2 months later, all of a sudden something happens and there's no case of cancer. What happened?
How did you establish that the detail of hang on. No. You don't get to tell me to hang on. It's my show. I'll tell you when to hang on. You said they're given 3 months to live. They meet a lover. And then 3 months later, there is no cancer inside of them. What happened? Why is the detail they meet a lover relevant? That is my question.
Correct. That's where I'm leaving you, right? So
you're not leading me anywhere. I'm asking you a question and I'm asking you to answer it. You included a detail. They met a lover. I'm asking you, why is that detail relevant?
Okay. Yeah, I'm still leading you, but that's why I asked you, okay, do you understand this? Okay,
are you going to answer my question?
Again, the reason the detail is relevant is because, again, these type of things happen, to have a mind-body connection. The mind-body connection is very real.
Sure. The mind-body connection, as far as you can affect your physiology by positive thinking. Now, as far as the guru spiritualist way, I don't buy it. But hang on.
You're just saying...
Hang on. I am aware that I can, for example, think myself so anxious that I become nauseous. In that regard, I believe in a mind-body connection. You have said, here's a hypothetical, and you were going to answer the question and then didn't. There was a hypothetical person who had 3 months to live, meets a lover, and then 3 months later are healed, right? How did you establish that it was because of the lover? How do you prove that if they had not met the lover, they would have still been healed? And then, actually, I'll give you the and then after. How do you prove that it is because they met the lover and that they wouldn't have been healed without the lover?
What? Again, there are a lot of unknown, but you're assuming, again, medically, again, we're talking the mind-body experience.
I'm assuming nothing. I'm asking you a question. Questions are not assumptions. You gave an experience and included a detail, and I've asked you to justify the detail because including the detail implies that that detail was the cause of the healing. So H, in your hypothetical, was the fact that the person, when they met the lover, was the meeting the lover what caused them to be healed?
Well, to
yes or no, H? H, no, I'm not letting, yes. You've been being very dishonest. Okay, yes, the answer is yes. Great. H, are there people who are given 3 months to live, hypothetically, and in reality, who are given 3 months to live, who meet a lover and do not get better?
Correct. I agree.
So how do you establish if in the first case, excuse me, H, in the first one, you are saying that you agreed, yes, it was because they met the lover that they were healed. How do you prove that that was true when there are instances of people meeting lovers who don't get healed? How do you prove that that was why?
Because not all of them have the same, react the same to certain things. It's not.
That is not an answer to the question, H. The question is, H, no.
You keep interrupting me.
Yes, because you're going a different direction. I'm interrupting you to try and help you. The question is, how do you prove? Okay, H, if I needed to prove to you that cough medicine reduces a cough, I can do that. I can run through the evidence and what physically is happening. How do you prove that the medicine which cured the person was the lover in the same way that I would prove a cough medicine treated a cough?
Well, let me ask this. Again, I can't prove that. Again,
correct. You can't prove it, H. That's the point. You are attributing reasons that you cannot prove. And this was why we asked, Eric tried to give you a much simpler version. What do you have that you can prove?
Do you ever, again, going down a certain line here?
Again, yes,
okay,
again.
You're interrupting.
Again, I am.
And you're not even letting me try to lead my reasoning.
You are mumbling a preamble because you haven't figured out what you're going to say yet, and you're trying to talk while you form it. Do you have it now? Are you ready?
No, you're incorrect. You're incorrect. You're assuming too much. Maybe if you listen to your listeners.
Yeah, maybe.
Let them talk,
maybe. Or maybe I've been doing this a long time, okay. And I know what speech patterns of dishonest people who want to be taken seriously for their silly, non-reasonable, non-logical beliefs. Maybe I'm familiar with this because I've been doing it for years. And maybe not only are you doing it, you aren't even tricky to pick up doing it. Maybe you're actually worse than most people at trying to appear honest. So now, if you are ready,
well, let's pretend that's the thing.
Go ahead and start. Go ahead with your actual point, and go ahead and start it with the phrase again, and then say something novel as you've done 7 or 8 times so far.
The reason I keep saying again because you keep interrupting.
Again.
Like I can't even get full thoughts here and illustrate what I'm trying to say.
If you start driving the wrong direction, I have no problem pulling over the car before you get to the wrong destination.
I think you're being very dishonest here. You're here trying to steer a direction.
H, it's very cute that after being called out for being dishonest, you're now trying to project that outward because that is the defense mechanism people use when arguing. And when they are called out for something, go, nah, you do that. So let's drop the Donald Trump tactics here. Go ahead and make your point. Do you have anything you can actually prove, H?
Look, even let me say this. Let me stop here. Obviously, it seems like you have your thoughts.
H, the question is yes or no. It's a yes or no question. I don't need a single more word. You do have something you can prove. Great. Now present it.
Listen. Can you let me finish?
Are you going to present something you can prove? Yes or no?
There are many studies in the NIH that do prove the mind-body connection. The mind-body connection is exactly what I'm talking about when someone meditates, and that's it.
Great.
You could go and pull up studies in the NIH.
You are presuming that one, I assume that what you mean by mind-body connection is what anybody in the NIH who is using that phrase means. And that two, that I don't believe people's mindsets can affect outcomes. What I have said is I have no reason to believe in a supernatural cause for any of those things. I have no reason to believe that magic is involved, that God is involved, that theology is involved, that spirituality is involved. And in fact, there are studies that indicate counter to some of the stuff you've been implying. So do you have proof of the involvement?
Do you have a specific study?
Do you have proof?
The NIH is a database full.
Again, you are saying rebuttals as though I have disagreed with something like the NIH has studies which show a link between a person's mindset and their outcomes. I don't doubt good medical science. I doubt your interpretation of them. And what we are here doubting at the very onset is a theological, a theistic, a supernatural, or a magical connection to any of those things.
Okay. So here's the thing. There's plenty of studies in the NIH to show medically the mind-body connection. And you said, is there anything that shows that we can influence anything outside of ours? Yes. And there are studies where we can actually concentrate, someone hold up their hand.
What I'm enjoying is you're mad that I'm now interrupting you again. You're mad that I'm now interrupting you again after you just said, and said a phrase that I never uttered.
Oh, okay, I'll stop saying that, but let me finish. Jeez.
I think I won't, H, actually. I think I won't. I think we're going to move on because this is tedious. H, you have no actual proof.
Look up the pair project.
I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit what testimony I've muted him, what testimony you think you're about to bear and what thing you're about to get through to the people. You have not demonstrated anything as far as a religious, theistic, spiritual connection to any of it. Your phrase mind-body connection, I'm more convinced than ever you don't even understand what it means, and you do not have a good warranted belief in Jesus, God, or anything. Otherwise, you would have led with something much more impressive than, what about a hypothetical person who falls in love? And by the way, the thing I was going to add to that, if you could establish that the love was related to the healing, was how do you then establish that would be a supernatural thing? How do we establish that love is supernaturally healing people? You didn't do any of that, H. You have failed, and several people who listen to you are dumber for it. What did you want to add, Eric, I'm not unmuting us, just for the record.
Okay, well, I just want to ask H a couple questions. I'd like to maybe try to attempt to go at this issue from the other end. So I just want to ask a few questions of you, H. So for what I got so far is you have a hypothetical or a real scenario where somebody's terminally ill, they meet somebody that they love and they fall in love, and then 3 months later they recover. And you're attributing this to some type of supernatural source, mind-body connection, God. Is that kind of a general good summary of what you're proposing here?
You're asking me to unmute him, I assume? I wasn't going to. All right. I'm going to let you try it with Eric, but I got to tell you, the odds of me interrupting because you don't answer the question that you are actually asked are pretty high. And we have other people waiting. And I will warn you right now, H, as I unmute you, if you try to answer any other questions besides the ones you are asked, we will simply move on. Eric, go ahead and ask your question one more time so it's clear what question he needs to answer, and then I will unmute.
Sure. So H, yes or no, tell me if I'm accurately recapping what you just proposed to us. Somebody, hypothetically or a real scenario, somebody is terminally ill. They meet the love of their life. They fall in love. 3 months later, they recover. And you're attributing this to some type of supernatural process, either a God, a mind-body experience, or something like that. Is that a generally accurate summary of what you just said? Oh, he's still muted, I think.
No, I muted him.
Am I?
Yes.
You guys hear me?
There you are.
Yep. And you had a yes or no question to respond to.
So yes or no, was that a generally accurate summary of your position?
It can be, yes.
It can be. Is there any inaccuracies in there you want to address before I move forward?
Yeah, it isn't always the case. That's for sure.
Okay, well, that's great. That's actually going to lead right into my next question. So, do you think some cases, though, involve a supernatural explanation?
Yeah, there are definitely some cases of spontaneous remission.
Okay.
And definitely.
Well,
yeah,
I'm not arguing about
he didn't just. H, listen carefully
I'm not arguing.
and just answer yes or no. Sorry, Eric, if you will, ask him the exact question again, because you didn't even answer the question. And this is my problem with people like you coming in here, upset that we're interrupting when you fundamentally from the foundation are not listening to the questions. So, Eric, if you'll ask the exact question again, H, yes or no?
So H, it's a yes or no question. Do you attribute at least some of these cases, some of these spontaneous remission cases, to a supernatural cause? At least some of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And then the other cases you don't attribute to a supernatural cause. You think that they're maybe just like what that's kind of what I'm driving towards. Let's say for a moment that the supernatural cause is not the actual cause. Let's say that's just a false idea there. What's your second explanation for these cases?
I'll tell you what. Look at the Pear Project. It's by Frankston.
I asked it. I'm sorry. I asked
we've
a
got
very simple.
people waiting.
I asked it.
Yep.
I asked a very simple question. I'm gonna
give him your final thoughts. I'm muting him. I've muted him. Give him your final thoughts, and then we're moving on. I can't do it anymore.
What I was going to get at is, okay, you by your own admission said some of these cases you believe are supernatural, which means the other cases you believe are not supernatural. And I was asking for details about what those not supernatural cases are. And then at that point, I was going to ask you, how do you weigh the two against each other, and how do you determine the probability of either? Because I have a feeling, and I'm not going to want to put words in your mouth, but I have a feeling that you don't have a way of doing that. You just simply hear the story and you get a feeling, and then that's what you go with. Oh, this feels like a supernatural explanation. It feels like God was involved here. So I'm going to just go with that. And I was going to ask you, how do you determine whether that's true or not? How do you determine whether the story that you gave us has a supernatural mechanism behind it or does not?
And I don't have to unmute it. H, I literally can answer for him. He wouldn't answer the question you actually said. He would go, the NIH has already proven a mind and body connection, because I already asked basically the question you just asked like 6 times to him in different phrasings, but the same thing, and led him to there. So H, we are not unmuting you. You can think about it, and if you want to call back, maybe on a time where Eric's here and I'm not, because I don't know that I have no patience for you. Oh, he dropped himself. Well, H, you can call back.
My idea there is. My strategy there is, H, don't bother proving the supernatural case. Just fine. Just for the sake of argument, let's just accept that happens, okay? Just hypothetically. But then by your own admission, you say that also does not happen. So now I'm asking you, how do you tell the difference between the two? How can you possibly identify one from the other? And if you don't have a mechanism for doing that, then you have no mechanism for proving or demonstrating that the supernatural cause is in fact true. That was the whole thrust of that line of questioning there. And if you don't have a mechanism to determine that, then you're just making assertions, you're just making claims with nothing to back them up. And if you make claims with nothing to back them up, Jimmy and I are fine with just rejecting them and saying, well, no evidence, no need for a rebuttal, goodbye.
He doesn't listen. And I doubt he's going to come back and open and listen to what you just said there at the end either. The guy does not answer questions honestly. Hey there, I hope you enjoyed that clip. Look, I am actually still out on medical leave. That clip is from a month or two ago, and I will hopefully be back before too long, but make sure you stay subscribed so you see the launch of my new show or return show or whatever you want to call it. It will simply be called Jimmy Snow Has a Podcast. It'll be available on YouTube as well as other podcasting places. The Line is the channel from the clip that you just saw. Definitely check that out and consider liking, subscribing, if you haven't subscribed to this channel already. And if you would like to, you can support me over on Patreon. There will be extra special goodies. And right now, when I have been able to make little extra videos or content, right now they've been exclusively going to Patreon. So that's that. All that info is down below if you want to support. You'll be paying bills. It's this capitalist hellscape. How do we still not have universal health care? Okay, a different day, another time. Thanks.